Conversations here with Kenneth Allen Thomas. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to have, an amazing conversation today because we got a couple topics that we need to cover, a lot of current events, a lot of things that are going on inside the world. So here's where we, go over some of those current events and how we can elevate from a personal development standpoint and help you in your own life and help you grow to get to that next level. So some of the things that we're going to be covering are going to be biblical. Some things are going to be cultural. Some things are going to be what maybe going on in your own personal life and how you can actually grow. All right. That being said, before we go ahead and do that, make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Okay. Make sure you like, subscribe this channel and help us out. As soon as you give us a little thumbs up, it helps out the algorithm and all that good stuff that's happening and going on right here in the good world of YouTube. All right. So shout out to my man, Matt in the back. You know what I'm saying? He's here today. All right. Shout out to my young man, Dallas, is helping us out as well, too. So check it out, y'all. I was on a podcast a couple of weeks ago. So Matt, you heard me, talk about this before. We was talking about it a little bit earlier. So I was on this Talk to Me Nice podcast. And on the podcast, there was a couple conversations that was going on. One of those conversations was, are modern day men underperforming? Right? Are modern day men underperforming? That is the question at hand. So guys, in the chat box, go ahead and let me know, are modern day men underperforming to you? Right? Now, my question was, to what standard? Right? What standard are modern day men underperforming? What is how do we, judge that? What is the measure of, the modern day man? What is that supposed to actually look like? And oftentimes, I think we kind of contextualize this to making it look like the Morris Chestnuts of the world, or the most successful man in the world, the Michael B. Jordans of the world, right? We oftentimes look at what is a man supposed to look like, and we judge it based off of that criteria, right? So in my, personal opinion, I don't think that we should be even really judging that, because it's a case by case basis. I think we should really more so judge the man, individually versus collectively. Now, collectively, if we did talk about that, what we see is what is promoted, right? What we see is what we see, the hip hop going on. We see a lot of the demonic things that's going on. And nothing wrong with hip hop, obviously, because I am a hip hop dancer. What I'm saying is, it's the messaging that's inside of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? The messaging inside the music, the messaging inside these movies, the messaging inside these commercials. These are the things that are happening in our world. And more importantly, who's it being shown to? Right? How are we consuming it? I say this quote all the time. Lyrics affect the mind, rhythm affects the will, and the melody affects the emotions. Okay, show me what a person's listening to, and I'll show you their lifestyle, by Michael Pitts. It's one of my favorite quotes ever. And the thing is that what are we consuming? And oftentimes we can be consumed with so much negativity that things start to take shape to where we make a judgment based off of that and say, okay, all men are acting like this. Okay, well, there may be a group of men acting like that, but that's not all men necessarily, right? So I want to hear from you guys in the comments. You guys let me know what you think about that. So Matt in the back, I just wanted real quick, what is your take on, modern day men? Are they or are they not underperforming?
I would say, all right, there we go. I would say that's a very good question right there.
Right.
And I would just throw it back on you and back to the person. Like, what is the measuring scale that we're measuring society to? You get what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
are we talking about in a sense where the original role was the male was supposed to be a provider, the male is supposed to be a protector? Are we, when you say underperforming in our families, as husbands, to society in general, to what degree?
Right. To what degree? And that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like, we're not putting a real standard on that. Like, what is the exact standard, right, for us to even have this type of conversation? Now, when I was on the podcast, right, a lot of things were spewed up. The conversation was super dope from everybody on the show. So shout out to Ryan on the Talk to Me Nice podcast. If you guys want to go ahead and see the podcast and what I'm talking about, there'll be a link in the description below. You guys go ahead and check it out for yourself. But I think that the conversation kind of shifted to a place where we started talking about faith, right? And when we talk about faith, when we talk about men in faith and things in that nature, like you said, men being a provider, men being a protector, right? What are those things? You know, how do we, you know, display that to our young men today? And the conversation took a weird turn for a second, yo. So check this out. There was a young lady on there. Her name is Tammy. This is my first time meeting Tammy, so shout out to Tammy. And what I'm about to say, let me preview my comments before I go in. Like what I'm about to say, I'm only saying this because it's already out there. The conversation already happened, but I wanted to kind of like give a little bit more dialogue on the conversation, right? So this is not to downplay Tammy. We are cool. We had you know, a conversation afterwards or whatever. So Tammy, if you're seeing this and everything, you know what I mean? Much love to you. Okay. So Tammy goes in like, well, so Ryan is setting this thing up and he says, you know, people need some form of faith, some type of North Star to look at. I think we want to roll a clip and everything so you guys can kind of see exactly what was happening. But she says that the Bible is misogynistic. This is what she said, right? So I've been hearing this word misogynistic thrown around a lot, and I'm not sure if we are using it in its proper context necessarily, right? Matter of fact, let's check it out. What is the actual term for misogynistic? What does that actually mean? Here we go. All right. What does misogynistic mean?
Here's the definition of misogynistic: strongly prejudiced against women.
Strongly prejudiced against women. So put that in the comments, y'all. Is the Bible misogynist? Is the Bible prejudiced against women? So I'm just gonna answer that for y'all right now. No, no, not at all. Because I don't know what Bible you reading, but the fact is not. There is no way that if you are a believer and you subscribe to the Bible and you sit there and say that the Bible is misogynistic, and even if you don't subscribe to the Bible, if you sit there and say the Bible is misogynistic, you got to understand that you're probably reading something completely different, okay? Because let's really run it down. Number one, let's just take Jesus for example, okay? Jesus was born, you know, from who? The Virgin Mary, right? So God used what? A woman to birth Jesus, right? The Son of God. So that's number one, right? The man that came to change the entire world, right, was born, you know, through Mary, who is a woman at the end of the day. That's not prejudice, right? Like he could have used anybody, right? He could have used anybody. He could have, matter of fact, he could have said, you know what, yo, I'm going to take my shoe and I'm going to make a man and boom, here it is. But he didn't do that. He used Mary, right? So let's talk about it a little bit more, right? We go, what about the story? Matt, check this out. Remember the story of the woman at the well. Now, is this or is this not, right, a, you know, prejudice story? Matter of fact, hold on. Let me just give y'all context so y'all don't think that I'm tripping, right? Woman at the well scripture.
According to Wikipedia, the Samaritan woman at the well is a figure from the Gospel of John. John chapter 4 verses 4 to 42 relates her conversation with Jesus at Jacob's well near the city of Sychar.
Okay, so John chapter 4, right? John chapter 4, okay? Now Jesus learned that the Pharisees had heard that he was gaining and baptizing more disciples than John, although in fact it was not Jesus who baptized but his disciples. So he left Judea and went back once more to Galilee. Now he had to go through Samaria. Now y'all got to understand, at that time, you know, Samaritans and Jews, they wasn't rocking with each other at all. They just wasn't rocking with each other. Hold on, it's my pop and everything right now. Give me 1 second. Dad. Oh, give me 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second. Dad, I'm doing a podcast. Dad, I'm doing a podcast. I hit you back. All right. All right. So he says, so he came to town in Samaria called Sychar, near the plot ground Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there, and Jesus tried Jesus tired as he was from the journey, sat down by the well. It was about noon. Okay. What am I reading out? I'm reading out an NIV right here, y'all. All right. So let's scroll down a little bit here. Let's scroll down. All right. So the Samaritan woman, verse 9 says, the Samaritan woman said to him, "You are a Jew and I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink?" Because before the verse before, Jesus had asked her for a drink. Jesus answered her, If you knew the gift of God and who it is that asked you for a drink, you would have asked him and he would have given you living water. She says, "Sir," the woman said, "You have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where can you get this living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well and drank from it, and did as did also his sons and his livestock?" Jesus answered, "Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again, but whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in the spring. It will become in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life." The woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water so that I won't get thirsty and have to keep coming here to draw water." He told her, "Go, call your husband and come back." "I have no husband," she replied. Jesus said to her, "You are right when you say you have no husband. The fact is, you have had 5 husbands." Now, hold up now. She didn't have 5 husbands. So how did he know this? Right? And the man you now have is not your husband. Right? And he says, what you have just said is quite true. Okay. "Sir," the woman said, I can see that you are a prophet. Our ancestors worshipped on the mountain, but the Jews claim that the place where we must worship is in Jerusalem. "Woman," Jesus replied, "believe me, a time is coming when you will worship the Father neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem." So the story continues to go on, right? The woman says, "I know that the Messiah, called Christ, is coming. When he comes, he will explain everything to us." Then Jesus declared, "I, the one speaking to you, I am he." Okay. So basically what's happening in this whole story, okay, is that the Samaritan woman is speaking to Jesus. Jesus knows who she is, right? And ends up telling her to go and sin no more, right? Why? Because she's had five husbands at this point in time, okay? And the one that she's with now is not her husband either, right? So she is someone who would be looked at as a woman that is unclean, a woman that is, in these days, what's the right word I'm looking for? Matt in the back. She from the streets, yeah. She for the streets, yeah. She for the streets. She's a woman that's for the streets. All right, so that's pretty much what she is. But the fact is that Jesus looked through all of that and said, "Listen, I'm not really rocking with you on that." You know what I'm saying? I'm going to see past all of that. I'm going to give you this water so that you don't become thirsty anymore, right? So you don't have to keep going after man after man after man after man after man, okay? That's not prejudice against women. That right there is showing this woman grace, even though you've been through what you've been through, right? I'm showing you grace. I'm giving you love. And there are so many other stories, in the Bible that, empower women. I mean, you look at Esther, right? You look at Queen Esther. You look at, Sarah in the Bible. You look at Queen of Sheba in the Bible. Right now, here's the deal. People will sit here and say that the Bible is misogynistic because they may take one verse out of context. They may take that one verse instead of reading the entire chapter, where a woman, it may seem that this woman was hated on, or there was some form of prejudice or something like that, you know. And oftentimes what we find is that people will sit there and try and take the Bible, and they'll take this one scripture and they'd be like, see, there's a contradiction there. But there's no contradiction in the Bible. The reality is that we have to understand the context. And on top of that, what they try to do is they'll try and take the Bible and put it in a form of, okay, the culture today, and try and attach it to what's happening. Now, in some cases that may be true, but that's not every case in the Bible. Y'all got to understand, this is 66 books, right, in the Bible, right, written by different authors, different experiences or whatever, and different people that God used to speak his word through. So we can't sit here and necessarily say, oh, well, and apply all of that and everything to today's time. That right there, that's dangerous. When we sit there and use words like misogynistic, and Nikki on the show, she used what the Bible is for men by men. Now, like, that's not true either, because the thing is, what I just explained to you, the woman at the well. Matter of fact, Matt, remember the woman with the issue of blood, right? Woman with the issue of blood. This woman went through every doctor possible, right, to try and find a cure for her issue of blood, that she just kept bleeding. And what happened when she finally got to Jesus? She got cured. Why? Because it was her faith that healed her, right? She had faith in Jesus that she could be healed. Now, I said all of that to get to this. One of the scriptures that I know for a fact that people will take out of context and think that the Bible is being misogynistic is Ephesians 5, right? Ephesians 5, verse, I think 22, I believe it is. Verse 22, where it says that a woman must submit to her husband, right? That is the one, that's the one, John, that a lot of people will take out of context all the time. Matt, you think you pull that up for me, yo? Pull up Ephesians 5. Go to verse 21. And then read verse 21 for me real quick.
Check 1, 2. All right, we here. It says, submit one to another out of reverence for Christ.
All right, so hold up. So read this and read the second verse real quick.
Wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands as you do to the Lord.
Okay, so here's what we do, right? We take verse 22, right? We take verse 22, and we take that whole John, and we don't go back and read verse 21. So, Matt, read verse 21 one more time. What did it say?
All right, verse 21, it says, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ.
All right, submit to one another. Like, so that basically means, Matt, you and Emma, y'all submit to each other. Me and Josie, we submit to each other, right? Before it even gets to what the wives' role is, it's telling us that we must both submit to one another. Why? Because we became one flesh when we got married. We became one, so we got to submit to each other. There's no, oh, I rule the household or whatever. There's no, the famous term, happy wife, happy life. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, I get it. I understand it. Happy wife, happy life. I understand. But at the same time, there are certain things, and I've used that term before too. So don't, I'm taking it, don't take it to another level, right? What I'm saying is that there are needs for a man and there are needs for a woman, right? And the first need of a man is security. The first need of a man is honor. And the first need of a woman is security. So we got to understand those two aspects as well too. So when we talk about how the Bible being misogynistic and all this other stuff or whatever, we got to understand, what are we talking about? We're not saying, we can't sit here and really say that the Bible is that. So oftentimes some people may regurgitate what someone else said, right? They may say something on what somebody else heard. You know what I'm saying, man? I'm gonna talk to you in a second. But what are your thoughts on, people regurgitating, what someone else said, or even just the whole topic of what we talking about and everything right now?
Nah, that's super good, because we live in a time where people don't have a voice; they're an echo, meaning that somebody with a voice says something and you just agree with it because your feelings, your upbringing, or your personal opinion, or how your feelings go, and then we just come in agreement with that. But we have not studied ourselves to really look into it ourselves. And when we look, that word submit mean accept or yield to a superior force or to the authority or will of another person. So in reality, our whole life is about submission too. We don't like that term in relationships, but we know about submission. If you got a job, you have to submit to your boss. Like, they tell you what to do. If you live in this country, you have to submit to the government. If you local, you got to submit to the law of the land. You cannot run a red light. You have to wait for a green light. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we know what submission is like. We just don't like it in the context of a relationship. But you don't mind your boss telling you what to do, because we know every 2 weeks, we know that check is coming.
Mm-hmm.
But see, back in the day, the husbands was the one bringing the check home.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. see, we don't like to have these conversations,
And
yo.
look, let me just throw this last
Go
thing
ahead.
out there too.
Yup.
Another thing too that people don't like about the Bible is because the authoritative place, right? Like when we talking about authority and stuff like that, I don't know where it went at, but I think it's in Judges. But anyway, Deborah was actually a judge.
Yes.
And it says that she ruled over the whole Israel. So there are women in leadership positions in the Bible. It's not like women, you can never be a leader ever in life.
Right.
No.
Right.
She was a strong woman, a judge, appointed over a whole entire city to make decisions.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Even Queen of Sheba, right? Queen of Sheba, she was the queen. She came to King Solomon, you know what I'm saying? She came to King Solomon just to see his kingdom. So you talking about another authorities coming in agreement with another authority. You know what I'm saying? The fact is that the only difference is that King Solomon was like, listen, I know you came bearing gifts, but I'm gonna give you like 2 times as much more or whatever than what you gave me. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna lace you up. You're not gonna outgive me, basically. But that's a good point. You know, listen, y'all. Y'all gotta stop saying stuff just to be saying stuff. Like, y'all gotta stop like forming a improper opinion based off somebody else's opinion or what somebody else said, just so that you can sound good. Like, I'm sorry, that may rub somebody the wrong way, but the fact is that, listen, I get it. People love Google. I just used it. But I used it in the context to see what a definition was, not to form an opinion, but just to prove a point. You know what I'm saying? Like, Google is not an opinionated, search engine. It's just not. It's going to give you a fact on something, and then it's your job to take that fact, dissect that fact, and see, okay, is this a reality or not? The fact is that we do this way too often. And like Matt said, we don't sit here and study to show ourselves approved. And that's like, listen, when you sit there and say things about whatever it is, like, if you're saying that the Bible is for men by men, or the Bible is misogynistic or whatever, right? I have to question that. Did you read the Bible? Right? Did you read it? Like, who told you that? Did you, what scripture or whatever is based off of that? That's like me saying I'm meeting somebody new. Oh, you a clown. And I ain't never been to your circle. I ain't never been to a circus before or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't give a proper analysis on a person that I just met 5 minutes ago, right? It's the same thing with scripture. It's the same thing with a movie. It's the same thing with, a person. You can't give a proper analysis on something that you don't even know, right? So it would behoove us to go out and make sure that we take the time to truly form a valid opinion. And it's cool if you don't know. Like, it's cool if you don't know. Yo, I'm not educated in that area. Like, just be cool with that. Just be cool to say, like, I'm not educated in that area, but can you educate me in that area? You know what I'm saying? So I think that what is the solution, right? What is the wise thing to do? I think we kind of already said it, Read the Bible for yourself to show yourself approved. If that's what you're interested in, cool. But if you're not subscribing to this, right, then that doesn't give you the power or leeway to bash it. If you don't subscribe to it, yo, pass on it. Like, you can't, but for somebody who does subscribe to it, like, don't hate on the next man or whatever who is trying to better themselves or whatever if they feel that this is the best way to better themselves. You know what I'm saying? So I think that once we start to develop a mindset of, yo, I have to really, really, really start to study and form that type of discipline, then I think we'll start moving the needle a little bit and going to another level in humanity just in general overall. You know, the fact is I do believe that people need some form of faith. You need faith at the end of the day. You need to have faith, you know, and look to God and seek him, because the real deal is, yo, let's keep it real. A lot of people talk tough and everything about the Bible. A lot of people talk tough about God. A lot of people talk tough and everything about Jesus. A lot of people talk tough, you know what I'm saying? And from our scholars out there, you know, I'm talking about Yeshua HaMashiach, you know what I'm saying? Like, look, when it comes down to it, when everything hit the fan and you are in a position where you know that the only one that you can call on is him, you know exactly who to call on. Because people will sit there, and try and like shun God or whatever all they want, right? I done seen some of the biggest influencers be like, oh, you still believe in this fairy tale and blah blah blah, you know what I'm saying? But let it be your mom dying, let it be you dying, let it be you being a crazy behind accident, let it be that, you know, you in a life-threatening position. Every knee shall bow, yo, at the end of the day. Either you gonna get down now or you gonna get down later, but you gonna bow at the end of the day. I done seen people, listen, yo, I remember this one time I was doing this 40 for 40 on, I was doing 40 days and 40 nights on Instagram Live. And for those that have been following me on Instagram, y'all know what I'm talking about. This is during was this during the pandemic? I think this was before. Yeah, this is during the pandemic, actually. This is 2020. I'm doing a 40 for 40 live. And I remember that this woman who's an atheist, her name is Diane. And I remember Diane, she used to come on and she used to be like very, very she pushed back on God a lot, right? And she asked me on the live, can I pray for her and her sister? And I remember when she said her sister has been in a coma for like 3 weeks at the time. And she lives in Canada. Her sister was in Texas. And what happened was we prayed for her sister this is like the beginning of the 40 for 40, right? And about a week later, I ended up praying for her in private, and I ended up praying for her in public. Because I remember going to a prayer night at church, and I was leading the prayer night, and I shared her testimony and everything inside that she had put out in the chat. Bro, like maybe a week and a half later, she jumps back on and she says, I want to thank you for your prayers. She says, my sister is now awake. She said, I've been alive for 45 years and I never believed in God until now. She said, I know for a fact that your prayers helped and it worked, and I'm now a believer. And I said, yo, that's crazy. Because she was somebody that just didn't, she was like, I don't want no parts. But when it came down to her sister almost losing her life, and her sister didn't, like, it was just like, yo, in a coma for 3 weeks. And then she finally woke up, and when she woke up, she said those words. She said, yo, I believe. And sometimes, you know, God is going to use you as a vessel to help somebody else, and you don't even know. Like, but be intentional about doing it. I was just mad intentional about the prayer. It wasn't about the views. It wasn't about the live. It was just about like, yo, I'm being intentional. I'm remaining obedient. And being obedient, in doing that, it helped this woman. It helped her believe. It helped her believe. As believers, we got to be the ones that's continuously walking and being the light in this dark world. So I just want to share that, man. I think that when we start to really, really pray, and don't just say, yo, I'm praying for you. Like, when you really do it, yo, things will really change. But do it with intention. Do it with a good heart. Do it with a servant heart. Don't do it or whatever just because it's a cool saying. Something happened to somebody. Like, yo, I'm praying for you. But you really don't be praying. Like, don't tell me that you praying for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm expecting you to pray. Like, for real. Like, don't sit here and tell me that you're really doing this and everything, and then you don't do it. I don't want to hear words. Like, show me in your actions. Show me that you actually praying. Show me that you really, really doing. Like, don't just pray for me. Pray with me. You know what I'm saying? Pray with me. Don't just pray for me. Pray with me, because I'm going to be praying. You know what I'm saying? But I want to make sure that you are, praying as well too. So that's all I had to say about that. Now, real quick, Tammy. You know what I'm saying? It's all love. And after the podcast with her, what she said, yo, I didn't mean to offend you. And I said, yo, I wasn't offended, but I just came to educate. You know what I'm saying? And I pray that you got some education and everything inside that, because the fact is that we need that. You have your feelings and everything towards the Bible, and that's cool. I'm never trying to force my faith on anybody, but I'm going to defend my faith. I'm going to let you know that straight up and down. Like, you ain't gotta subscribe to what I subscribe to. You ain't gotta believe in what I believe in. But what I am going to do is I'm going to defend my faith tooth and nail no matter what. You know what I'm saying? So, next topic that we got on the list, man. What we got? Oh, man. Yo, did you hear about John Morant? You didn't? Did you didn't hear about it, Dallas? You didn't hear about John Morant? So Matt, you know who John Morant is, though, right? The basketball player.
What is it?
The basketball player, John Morant.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, him on the Instagram and all that.
Yeah.
Acting up, cutting up.
Yeah. So, I know. That's exactly what I did too. Like, if y'all could see Matt just put his head down like, dog, I was so floored by it, because I was like, why? Why, bro? Like, why? Like, we get to a certain level, and then we display that. But again, it goes to scripture that the saying that I said. Lyrics affect the mind, rhythm affects the will, melody affects the emotions. Show me what a person listening to, and I'll show you their lifestyle. I can't say it enough. I'm going to keep saying it, y'all. I'm going to keep saying it. You have the power to shift the atmosphere in your life. Like, at the end of the day, I get it. Like, first of all, let's do this. First of all, he's 23 years old. So let's give the young man a little bit of grace, right? He's 23 years old. And the fact is that when we don't put things in perspective, don't mind my Bible, y'all. This joint a little tore up, but I gotta give y'all a scripture on this joint, because what I think is needed right now, because there are probably other young men that's looking at this. And I want to give y'all some game that will probably help your situation, because you got to really watch your surroundings. And if you don't watch your surroundings, if you're not wise enough or whatever to have those right people around you, you could be caught up in some mess that you can't get out of, right? So check this out. Proverbs chapter 13. Verse number 20. And it says this. It says, walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. Right? Trouble pursues, verse 21, trouble pursues the sinner, but the righteous are rewarded with good things. So let's go back to verse 20, right? Right? Who's that? All of y'all? It's all good. The family is passing through, everybody. This is how it rolls in the Thomas house. Bye, Papa. I love you. Bye-bye. Wait for mama. That's a good part about like editing and stuff. Wait, Christian. No, you're doing amazing, babe. I love you. Christian. All right. Love you too.
While they making their way out, I just want to throw this out there right quick. This 1 Corinthians 15:33, they're going to close it. It say, don't be deceived. Bad company corrupts good character.
Oh, my God. Yo, Matt, read that one more time. Yo.
That's 1 Corinthians 15, chapter 15, verse 33. Do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good character.
Bad company corrupts good character. That was actually one of the verses I was looking for. But this one popped up or whatever in my spirit. But they go hand in hand, right? Because you walk with the wise, you become wise, right? So who was wise in that situation? Like, nobody was wise. Like, yo, like, if that's your homie, if that's your man, like, yo, take the gun away, B. Like, seriously, take the gun away. Somebody in the crew has to be that guy. Somebody in that crew has to be like, yo, fall back. You don't need that type of heat. So let's compare the two. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen LeBron in a scandal? Never. Biggest basketball player ever, right now, of this era, I mean. Biggest basketball player of this era. Never seen a gun in his hand. Never seen him caught up in a scandal or anything like that. Anything crazy. Never even seen him in handcuffs. Never seen him in trouble with the law. Nothing. At 18, this young man was in the league. So Bron laid the blueprint to have a clean, career and make money doing it, building schools, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the man personally. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going off of basically as an outsider looking in. And outside looking in, it seems like Bron had his crew, people that he grew up with, people that he came up with, like those are his business partners now as well too. So when you got your business partners as your homies, so what's the difference between John Morant's crew and LeBron's crew? Somebody had the sense to say, hey, yo, Bron gonna make it, so I'm going to educate myself and do X. I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to be the one that's going to run Clutch Sports. I'm going to be the one that's going to run the Uninterrupted podcast. And, you know what I'm saying? I'm going, like Rich Paul or whatever took it to another level. Like all these guys or whatever that are in Bron's crew, like they had the sense, they all came from the hood as well too. So it's like there's no real excuse. But here's the deal. It's bad. When I heard somebody say this comment or whatever, they said John Morant might be the first cat to make it out the NBA and make it into the hood. Like, it's reversed, yo. It's reversed. You're supposed to make it out to the hood into the NBA, right? But they was like, yo, he may be the first one to make it out the NBA and into the hood the way that he going, because he had a couple different incidents, right? So what advice would I give someone like a John Morant? Evaluate your circle like your life depends on it. Because it does. Like, evaluate your circle like your life depends on it, because it does. You can afford, nice things at this point in your life. You can afford materialistic things in your life. You can afford, different investments in your life. But what you can't afford is to lose it all. That's just a reality. You can't afford to go back to your old life. You can't afford to go back to where you came from. You can't afford to go back to living check to check. I'm not sure if you was living check to check or not. I'm just speaking from a general standpoint, from, you know, what most black men go through. Listen, you can't afford that. That's a check that you can't write. None of us can. Nobody wants to go backwards. This is all about, you know, elevation and going to another level. This is all about forward movement, forward progress. Because when we sit here and put ourselves in a position to be successful, you take advantage of that position, because guess what? The reality is it could be going just like that. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow will worry about itself, and today is all you got. And if today is all you got, then you can't afford to have people around you mess that up. You can't afford to have people around you that are not going to help you make right decisions. You can't afford to have, you know, the bad company, because your character is at stake at this point. Your life is at stake at this point, right? You got to have a no man. You got to have a no man. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody should have a no man. And a no man is somebody to sit there and say, yo, that's stupid. That's whack. That's corn. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's going to mess you up. Don't do that. Right? But we was talking about submission earlier. Are we willing to submit? Are we willing to submit to those things? Are we willing to submit to, you know, living a clean life? You know, one of my boys, Brian, shout out to Brian, B-Boy Hannibal, he said to me over, this was what, like, this had to be like 16, 17 years ago. And he was like, Kenny, keep your nose clean. Kenny, keep your nose clean. And that's all he said. And that's all I needed. Keep your nose clean. So to any young man that's seeing this right now, any young man that is watching, any young woman that is watching, keep your nose clean. It's as simple as that. I think that when we do that, and it's hard to do because of where you come from, but it's necessary. Either you're going to be the get it done leader, or you're going to be the more charismatic leader. And we all know the get it done leader takes no nonsense and make sure that that person applies action to getting the job done. But the get it done leader also makes sure that they're charismatic too. But they pull that out when necessary. But if you're solely charismatic to where you only want people to like you and you want to be the life of the party all the time, then guess what? That person went back down to mid-level management and never became the executive that he could have been. So you got to decide exactly what you actually want to be. You want to be a get-it-done leader because your family is at stake. You know what I'm saying? Your children is at stake. Your future children is at stake. Your legacy is at stake. The question is when are you going to sit there and take shape to say, you know what? I got to really change the mind so we could change the game out here. Got to change my mindset. Got to change my surroundings. I got to switch up the circle. Listen, big companies do it all the time. Teams do it all the time. They're always changing. The 1983, Celtics, the 84 Lakers are no more. But the Lakers organization has changed their roster. They are not having a 60-year-old Magic Johnson, a 70-year-old Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like, that's not happening. The 96, 97, 98 Bulls are not coming back. Why? Because organizations change all the time. They change all the time. Right? Why? Because guess what? This is about elevation. This is about another level. However, they keep a core intact. Their real friends, they stay intact. Although the surroundings may be different, they have a core group of people that they keep intact to make sure that they're making the best decisions possible. So I just wanted to give y'all that real quick. So, Ja, if you're listening, man, truly, I pray that you get to your next level. I pray that you are going in the right direction, seeking the help that you need, the guidance that you need. because the reality is you're a superstar. You're somebody who young men, young women are looking up to. You are a role model, whether you believe it or not. And the fact is that because you have this spotlight on you, you are responsible at the end of the day. With great power comes great responsibility at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So we can't sit here and make excuses, about it. And he put out a statement and everything earlier as well too, that I thought that was noble of him as well. So the fact that you owning up to it, that's super dope. But you got to make more wise decisions moving forward. So next topic on the board, last topic of the night. So Matt, I went to this chat GPT I told you about, and I sat here and I found this is what I put in. I put in faith topics for discussion. Oh, did I put that? Was that one of them? Yeah. Yep. I put in faith. Oh, no. I put in personal development tips for women. And I also put in best topics surrounding faith. And here's what came up. The role of faith in personal development, right? It says exploring how faith can provide a sense of purpose and meaning in life and help individuals develop a strong sense of morality and ethics, right? And I think that there's a lot of people are looking for what is the point of life, right? Like, what is the meaning behind it? Why are we here? Like, that's the biggest question possible. Why are we here? And oftentimes people will drive themselves crazy trying to figure that out. And they may not be attracted to the Bible necessarily. They may feel jaded from church because of past experiences, church hurt. And that type of way of living or thinking or experiences can mess with a person's personal development in their life. When you don't have something to look towards, and after you've gained all that you can gain, after you gain all the money, after you gain all the fame that you have, after you gain all the success, it's like, all right, well, what else? So in your mind, Matt, what is, like, from a personal standpoint, how do you feel we can move the needle in for someone to develop faith to advance their personal development?
Ask that question one more time.
So, like, how can we help someone that doesn't necessarily have faith in God, and because of that, it's causing a rift in their personal development as a person, because they know that they're missing something, but they just don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not focused on, you know what I mean? You get me?
Yeah, I got you. Without God, there's always going to be a void, because he created people to where he can only fully 100% satisfy you. I'll give you an example. Mm-hmm. You can obtain wealth, right, without God, but see, you're still going to be struggling in other areas, whether that be your attitude, your character, your joy, your happiness, your peace, your mental health, your physical health. Like, you get what I'm saying? So you could thrive in one area, or you can be good with your family. You get what I'm saying? Other religions have very great morals. So you get what I'm saying? But you're not able to really walk in the fullness of what you want out of life. You get what I'm saying? Whether that's success or whether you trying hard on your own strength, but you can't really obtain the things that you want. So submitting to God helps, because he is there to satisfy every single area of your life, to show you that with him all things is possible, and without him it's like, it's, you know what I'm saying, it's almost like gambling. You can do it, you can't do it. You could try to do therapies, you could take success courses, but it's so much toiling and work that you got to do. But the Bible says that the blessings of the Lord make rich and it adds no sorrow. So, and then like you said too, a greater sense of helping, because you realize, and when you said this, I never really thought about that. It said that, what did it say? It said something about faith gives you a higher purpose. Did it say something of that sort? Like faith gives you a higher...
No, it says faith can provide a sense of purpose and meaning in life.
Yes, I like that. It provides a meaning of life, because you realize when it comes to faith, you have elevated to a certain place. It may not be the ultimate place, but whatever you achieve, whether that's going from level 1 to level 2, right? You can help somebody else that's on level 1, level 0, or they're even in a lower place than that. So the ultimate goal in life is to help other people. Even if you have selfish reasons, they created something that's meant to help other people.
Yeah.
So everything in life is to help other people. You're on this podcast helping other people. Everything is to help somebody.
Yep. I get it, man. I totally agree. I think that it comes down to a one of the biggest self-development tips that I can give is, the priority list. What are the priorities, right? Is your faith a priority? Is it? Like, is faith a priority? Is your wife a priority? Are your kids a priority? Is your husband a priority? Like, is your job a priority? What does your priority list look like? Because that can help you, answer some questions that you may have personally. Like, when you think about it, like a solid priority list, one, for me, it's like, it's always self first. And within self, because I know the people going to be like, well, why you put yourself first? Why you put yourself first in there? That's so selfish. No, stop it. That's not what I'm saying, right? What I'm saying is that when I put myself first, what does that entail? That entails my relationship with God. That entails, my physical well-being. That entails my mental well-being. That entails, my emotions, my feelings, taking care of those things. That entails, what are the things that make me happy, right? Because the better I am, the better version I become for somebody else, right? But that doesn't happen until I take care of me first. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all his righteousness and all these things will be added unto you. What am I doing? I'm seeking him first. What am I doing? That's me taking care of that first. So it's not me being selfish. I'm more selfish if I put myself last. I'm more selfish if I put myself way in the back. Because the reality is, I would burn out if I put myself all the way in the back, because I'm pushing everybody else forward. And then when it comes time for me to do it, right, I'm going to be way more selfish than not. So my thing is that I think that we should, you know what? This is what I'm going to give y'all. I'm going to give y'all a couple of things that can help y'all from a personal growth standpoint, right? I'm going to rattle off a list of things that can really, really, truly help. These are practical tools and tips. Check this out. Number one, prioritize your self-care, right? Which is what I just explained, which is what I just said, right? Take care of you. You got to make sure that you are in tip-top shape. I'll give you an example. In order for football players to be ready for Sunday, what do they have to do Monday through Saturday? They got to take care of their body. They got to take care of themselves so that they can show up for their team. If they don't do that, then guess what? Then they will underperform when the seats get hot. They will underperform when the time is needed for them to perform at the highest level possible. So if you are not taking care of your body, if you're not taking care of your well-being, how can you show up for the rest of your team? Because they're a priority too, at least that's what you say. But if you don't do that, then how can we actually go to another level? So make sure, number one, you prioritize your self-care. Number two, you got to set some goals. And I'm not talking about some just imaginary goals like, hey, I want to no, listen, set some goals. I set out a goal this year to get a new car for my family. I didn't know it was going to happen this quickly, but it happened, right? Sometimes God will sit there and say, hey, this goal is going to happen now because I said so, right? Sometimes he will pull some things back to force you in order to reach the goal that you need to be reaching. Because you may have a goal that's set for July, but its appointed time is in April, right? And therefore, you're going to take your sweet old time to get to where you need to get to. And God is saying, no, it's happening now. And some things are going to be taken away from you. I'll give you an example. 3 weeks ago, I was driving I was comfortable. I was comfortable in my nice 2006 Ford Expedition. Like, I was comfortable. It only had 105,000 miles on it, right? Not a lot of mileage at all. Fit my family, all that stuff, right? Here's the problem. My family's growing. Clearly, because we just had Hezekiah. Not only that, right? Not only are they growing in numbers, they are growing physically. They're getting bigger. So before, when they were little kids, the expedition might have flowed, may have worked. They had leg room, everything was all good, right? So what ended up happening was the car ended up breaking down on me, and me and Josie had to make a decision. Should I go ahead and pay for it to get it fixed, or should I just go ahead and just get a brand new car, right? Now, you know us in when it comes to like credit, when it comes to like, getting a new car, when it comes to getting approved or whatever, we sit there and we be like, oh my God, I gotta go through all of this. Mind you, the car that I had, like, there was no car payments. I wasn't paying for a car payment for over 2 years, and I was cool with that, right? So I said, you know what? Let me call one of my homies up. Let me just see what my options are. So I'm looking around and I'm seeing my options, and I'm saying to myself, all right, God, if it's your will, then it's your bill. We'll see what happens. So I end up, me and my wife is pressing me, by the way, too. My wife is pressing me like, yo, we need a car, because we had 2 cars. The Kia that we have, we gave it to our daughter, right? So she took over the payments on that, and so my wife is like, we got to get a car. We're down to 1 car. We got too big of a family. It's got to happen. So my goal was by the summertime to go ahead and have enough bread to go ahead and get the Tahoe that we really wanted. So we wanted a Tahoe. We wanted to make sure that we was going to get that. Tahoe didn't happen. So, and this is so deja vu that this is happening right now. This is crazy. I had this dream a couple weeks ago. Wow. This is so crazy. It's confirmation right here. So I ended up calling my homie. I said, listen, what do you got for me? Listen, I need a vehicle. I need something that's reliable. I need something that is more up to date. I need something that's going to fit my large family, right? He said, yo, do you mind rocking a minivan? I said, bro, I'm going to put my pride to the side and I will rock a minivan if need be. Like, whatever. Like, I don't care. Because the Tahoe is just not in the budget right now. We was working up to that. So I was like, look, I just want something that if it got a captain seat or something like that that can help us, cool. He said, all right, give me a little bit of time. I'll come back with a list. Comes back with the list. Came back with the list. Gave it to my wife. Wifey, do you like any of these joints or whatever? So it was like, it came down to the minivan. We was between the SUV that they had, and it came down to the minivan. So I was like, all right, cool. Like, I like the minivan. Now it's all about, can we afford it, right? Can we go back into these payments? We crunch the numbers up. Why am I saying all of this, right? Why am I saying this? Because at the end of the day, we got to make sure that not only are we setting goals, but are we measuring the goal that we're setting, right? So after I measured the goal, I say, okay, let me go to the bank. Let's see what happens. He gives me a buyer's order. I go to the bank, sit down with the banker, and I'm like, listen, I'm coming in, just seeing if I can get, seeing what my options are for a loan. She's all right, cool. Crunch some numbers up. She's like, oh, you've been with us such and such years. Oh, you got direct deposit income from your job or whatever. Like, let's see what happens. All right, cool. She's like, we're going to pull your credit. I said, listen, I get it. I know where my credit is at. It's pretty decent, so not where I want it to be, but it's pretty decent. Let's just see what happens. Dude, within 5 minutes, right? we get approved for a loan. Now, mind you, I have a long history of going to the bank and getting denied and getting denied and getting denied and getting denied. Like, no, 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 no. But what was the kicker? This weekend, I went to a Down syndrome event, right, to celebrate World Down Syndrome Day that's coming up. And I went out by faith because I knew that it wasn't about me getting paid for the event. It was about celebrating and serving, right? I'm here to tell y'all, these goals that y'all setting, y'all got to work within your gift. Y'all got to work within your gift. So I go, I do it. I come back on Sunday, right? They went out, they paid for my flight, took care of my flight. Shout out to Rod's Heroes for that, right? Took care of me, put me up, lodging, travel, all of that, food, everything was taken care of. And I went ahead and just used my gift, right? Serving. So I know this is long-winded, but I'm gonna wrap it up in a second. I go to the bank and I get approved. Now, in my mind, this was the big deal here. There were no doubts. Like Dallas, man, there were no doubts in my mind that I wasn't going to get that loan. I didn't know if I was going to get it, but I didn't doubt that I was going to get it. You see what I'm saying? Like, that didn't enter at all. I was just minding my business, just going through the process. It wasn't like, before I would always have a doubt in my mind, like, I'm probably ain't going to get this job. But the second that you think that you're not going to get it, you ain't going to get it. But no doubt entered my mind at all. I literally just walked by faith and was just like, God, if it's your will, then it's going to happen, So my whole thing is that sometimes God is going to expedite the process just because you believe that he can do it, right? Just because you believe. When you believe that he can do it, it may happen faster than you think. But we can't sit here and be like, all right, it's going to happen on July 31st. No, it may happen on April 11th. It may happen on March 6th. It may happen on February 8th. It doesn't matter. The fact is that it's happening because you believe. In certain things, when we set these goals, we don't just set the goal. We got to set the milestones inside the goal as well, too. Let's make this thing as realistic as possible. And God just may say, you know what? I'm going to wipe all of that out. And because you've been faithful, because you've been serving, because you've been giving, because you've been doing these things, boom, I'm about to bless you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm blessed. Listen, I'm rocking a minivan, y'all. It's a 2020. I'm rocking a minivan, and I'm happy at that. No, it's not the Maserati. No, it's not the Lambo. It's not. It's what is needed for this season. And I want to give y'all this, and we're going to wrap this up, yo. I'm going to give y'all this. Check this out. Check this out, right? Hold up. Let me give y'all this real quick. This was super, super good. Right? This is super good. My pastor said this the other day. He says, Jesus responds to your need, not your history. Let me say it again. Listen, Jesus responds to your need, not your history. It doesn't matter if you was mismanaging back in the day. It doesn't matter if you done sinned back in the day. It doesn't matter or whatever with what you did long ago, because guess what? He's already thrown those sins or whatever into the sea of forgetfulness. What are you doing right now? Are you acting in obedience now? Are you acting according to your faith now? Are you walking in obedience now? He's going to judge you based off of right now. And he's going to respond to your need right now. Because the fact is that it doesn't matter how many times he told you what not to do, right? The fact is that when you're in trouble, all that goes out the window. He's not going to throw it in your face. He's going to respond to the need, right? He's going to respond to the need. So number one, prioritize your self-care. Number two, set goals. And number three, seek out new experiences. Some of y'all are just not experiencing life to its fullest, at all. Some of y'all not experiencing life to the fullest. And when you don't experience life to the fullest, you know, that can then take your personal development training and your personal development down to like a 0. Find out how you can experience life on different levels. Go to those places. Go to that restaurant. Go to that park that you've been meaning to go to. Experience driving that car. Experience, you know, doing something different in your life. Don't always sit here and hold back because you feel like you ain't got the finances. You feel like you don't have this or you don't have that. Well, what do you have? And use it and experience it and create the experience. Seek out those new experiences and watch your life change to another level. Watch your life, shift in ways that you would never even think of, right? Seek new experiences in life. Seek new people. Seek new conversations, right? Seek a new level of faith. What if you do start going down this path of faith? Who knows? But experience it. You never know what can happen. These are Unshakable Conversations. I'm Kenneth Allen Thomas. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all that. I hope these conversations is giving you, what you need and edifying you and helping you go to another level. All right. When we change the mind, y'all, we change the game. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow, worry about itself. Today is all we got. Today is all we got. Make sure you impact today the best way we know how. All right. One love. I'll check y'all later. Peace.